So we start by running Terraform init to initialize our Terraform working directory. And then when that's complete, we can run Terraform plan. And that's to show what changes we made to the infrastructure. And we save this plan to a file so we can be sure when we apply the changes, we'll execute exactly what we see here. Finally, we can run Terraform apply to execute all the changes that are in our saved plan. This runs, but as it starts creating the infrastructure, we see an error. And it errors as the Terraform config is pointing to a zip file that contains the Python code with the function but does not exist, so we need to create it. So what we find in the README file is there's a script to package up the Lambda functions. We run this, and this creates the zip files in the correct location. So from here, we can then go and run another plan. And once that completes, we can then finally apply those changes. And this goes ahead and creates all of our infrastructure in AWS. Once this is complete, we want to be able to go and test our APIs. However, the problem we have is we don't know what the URL is that we need to target. So we go into the Terraform config that creates the API gateway, and we use the inline chat to ask it to output the API endpoint URL. We can view the diffs as Q starts making the changes, and we can see the API endpoint output at the end. So we can go and accept those changes, and then we can go back and we can do another plan, and then we can run Terraform apply to apply those changes. And as we can see, when we apply the changes, this now outputs the API endpoint. So now we want to go and test the API and make sure that it is actually fully working. So we start off just by quickly outputting the API endpoint and making a note of that. And then we can run a curl command to create a new item in DynamoDB. This is successful, so we go and retrieve the record. Again, this returns that record. Next, we want to update the record. Once that's updated, we retrieve it again to see that the change has been applied, which they have been. And then finally, we can delete the record. And so now we have our fully working CRUD API all set up and configured through QDeveloper using Terraform.